in a world where most people can see. I can't. In another video, I talked about the best things about being blind. But what are the worst things about being blind? Uh-oh. One of the worst things about being blind, I gotta be honest, is the injuries that happen. And they're nothing serious, but I just walk around and I might bump my head on something, or I might hit my leg on something as I'm walking by, or, maybe burn my finger slightly on, trying to take something out of the oven or whatever. They're just these little things, but they're sort of a nuisance. But at the same time, it's part of what I do. It's part of the whole blind experience. I'd be walking down the street one time and walk into something, and somebody behind me will freak out and be like, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, this is just what I do. It's okay. Part of being blind is walking into stuff. It sounds strange to say, but it's true. Here's another one. People don't know what to call me. Seriously, I meet somebody and they'll say to me, how long have you been like that? Or, wait, you're visually challenged? You're visually impaired? People don't know what to call me. How about Tommy? Walking into the airport, for example, that makes me nuts, because I just sort of have to stand there and listen for a minute and try and see if I can figure out where the counter is, where I could check in. It's really difficult not to know exactly where to go. Sighted people, you can just walk in and see the check-in counter and just walk right up to it and do your thing. Not so much for me. One of the really horrible things is being on a date, right? And you go out and you're with somebody nice and you're having a nice time, you're having a little dinner and a couple of drinks. And about halfway through, I have to ask her, excuse me, can you tell me where the bathroom is? Maybe could you take me? Because even if she told me, I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't know because I've never been there before. One of the worst things about being blind is going on a visually impaired date. See, I did them backwards. So when I was in high school, I went to a boarding school, okay? And it wasn't a blind school, it was just a school for regular. I just wasn't a great student. So my parents figured they'd send me away. And for the first little while, I was walking around sighted guide. I was just walking around, holding onto somebody's elbow. But I needed a mobility instructor to teach me how to get around using a white cane. And I hated that. I just stood there and was like defiant. I'm not gonna, because I'm a 15, 16-year-old kid going, but I'm gonna be the only one with a white cane. But like everybody already knew I was blind to start with, you know what I mean? And that was really tough for me. But once I started, like the freedom that it gave me was incredible, because I could walk anywhere on the campus, to any one of the dorms, to any one of the classroom buildings, the dining hall, or anything like that. And it was great. But at 16, you're so insecure to begin with, and to have to walk around with a white cane and be the only guy doing that in the whole place, is pretty daunting. So one of the rites of passage when you grow up is to get your driver's license. And I have two older sisters and they got their licenses before me, and then it became my turn. And all my friends started to get their driver's license and I didn't. And that was really hard. I mean, I felt really left out, I felt like, I can't have this one thing that everybody else in the world is getting. And then it really broke my heart when my little sister got her license. It was very tough to deal with. Another weird thing, I have to get in strangers' cars from time to time. Really? One time I missed my stop on the train. I couldn't get a signal or anything. It was freezing cold outside. And a guy just pulled up and he goes, you need help? I said, sure. He said, where do you live? And I told him and he said, all right, I'll drive you there. And, that's really risky and scary. But again, I've been doing it my whole life. I think I know when it's going to be all right. Famous last words. You know what the worst thing is? The worst thing about being blind? Do you want to know what the worst thing about being blind is? I can't see. Listen, I'm talking about the worst things about being blind, but here's the thing. This is my normal, right? This is what I do every single day of my life. This is how I live. And it's all good. It really is. I mean, I've gotten to experience some things in my life that you may never experience in your life, and vice versa. There are things that you've done that I can't do. So, you know what? We get to share and talk about them and stuff, and it's really cool. And that's what makes it all fun, right? That's what makes it fun to be around other people and to learn about each other. So I walk into some furniture. Big deal. No, you know what the worst is? I never know when to stop wiping in the bathroom, you know.